Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes podcast. I'm Bert Lepore. He's Samuel Monte Carlo. We're hanging here with Angry Mike D, and we talk about music, movies, and so much more.
All right, we're back. Another episode, Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes, episode 61, right? Yeah, 61. This one, since it's Christmas season, we're going to talk about toys, and not the kind that Bert sells.
I saw lots of them. I got the rose,
the adult type,
whatever you need.
Yeah, we're just going to, talk about, some stuff that we might have had or collected in the past, maybe past Christmas gifts or whatever. And we got a buddy of ours, special guest, Jerry D, guitar player extraordinaire from the Philly area, now in Florida.
It's Floridian.
And, Jerry's he had a collectible store, right? Retro station. So he kind of has a, big background in this sort of thing.
He knows his shit.
Right.
So shit is probably the right word for
it. That's good stuff. So maybe we'll get to the naughty list, which you can come see me for the naughty toys, but maybe we'll do the nice toys now. So we're just gonna bullshit talk about some toys since I guess this is the Christmas episode. So fa la 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 la. So let's start it off. So, Jerry, how long did you have the other store for?
I think we got that running. I want to say it was April of 2012, Bert. It was in the springtime. We started in the front of it was actually in Mullica Hill along that. They used to call it the Golden Mile of Antiques there in Antique Country. We actually started before that in the old Mill Antique Co-op in that part of town. And it was literally a 200 square foot booth, and the store was the logical outgrowth of that little booth. And as soon as people knew we were there, they were sort of coming in and saying, "Hey, I got my son's GI Joes from when he was growing up." "Well, how old's your son?" "Oh, he's 56." "Yeah, we buy that."
Yeah.
And they'd come in and come out to my car, and there'd be the trunk full of this guy's stuff. And so little by little, I went from 200 square feet to 1,000 square feet.
Wow.
In 2 years.
Nice.
And I think it was 2018-ish, it seems to me. We moved over to Woodbury, and we were next to Frankenstein Comics on Route 45 there on the main drag. And, so it was about 6-7 years that we were open as a self-standing thing, probably about 10 years total from the time we started in the mall.
When you moved to Florida, right?
Right.
You put your stuff in storage, or you just sell it all off?
We wholesaled a little bit of it, Bert. More as a practical matter to lighten our load. We wanted to get the smallest truck possible.
Sure.
We brought very little, if any, furniture. It was the clothes, the dog, the guitars, and the toys.
Of course, the guitars.
And I'm lucky the wife brought me, to be honest with you.
Stuff. Yeah.
The important stuff. I'm lucky she brought me, to be truthful with you.
Good.
I'm still saying yeah. I'm starting to say y'all. Still yeah and yes.
Yes.
So I stick out like a sore thumb down here. But no, good. probably about half of the store is still here. All the fixtures were sold. I've been buying down here like crazy, believe it or not.
Nice.
But what we have in Jersey and Philly, it's not down here, to be honest with you. Yeah. I've actually made a few trips back up there. Here's the progression. I'll come up to visit you guys 3 times a year. I'll rent a box down here. I'll drive up to you, load the son of a bitch up, and drive it back down here and put all that stuff down here.
Right. Now, I'm
literally coming back. There were like 20 long boxes of comics and name it.
Nice.
Whatever I can get my hands on.
Mike?
Sure. How were you born in Philly?
Yeah, Broad and Wolf Street.
Oh, okay.
Close by, yeah.
So maybe you remember, because like when I was a kid, there was a place on South Street. I think it was called like Rocket Ships and Accessories. And they were like vintage toys and like a lot of sci-fi stuff in there.
There was a place. Give me that name one more time.
I think it was called Rocket Ships and Accessories.
I'll tell you why I had to have you repeat that. I've spent the last 30 plus years of my life standing in front of a Marshall amplifier, so my right ear is not so good anymore. That was one of them. There was another one called Quaker Head.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, a pair of brothers owned that place, and I'm going to tell you a very morbid story about why that place doesn't exist anymore.
Which one?
A gentleman living upstairs from them committed suicide in his bathtub, who was also an HIV patient, and he bled out in the bathtub, which leaked into the store. And the insurance company had to condemn everything, so they couldn't keep a single thing contaminated.
Wow.
That's how that store went out of business. But South Street had 2 stores, and I think the Rocket Ship store was one. The rent on South Street is far. You don't make enough margin in this industry to maintain a shop on South, even though those places are super busy. But there were 2 shops, and the name you tell me sounds familiar. I've never been in it. Wow. But Quaker Head was the other one that comes to mind. And then there's another one. Philly, there's a new one in Philly, believe it or not, in Northeast. My buddy Sean is one of the partners in it. Toy Cantina. Sean Roach, who owns Louder Than Bombs Tattoo, owns this place. I believe it's on Bustleton Avenue, guys. He's got killer stuff there. He and Matt Keaton own this place, along with another tattoo artist. They just opened a few months ago, and there's a ton of killer stuff there. Joys and Toys is in at York Road. That is going to come to me here. I haven't been to Philly much in the past year and a half. DeLuca Music. What town is that? Anybody know where that is?
Where Joe
Hatboro.
DeLuca was.
Hatboro. Thank you. That's in Hatboro. And then over in Jersey, my buddy Scott is in Merchantville. I have another friend, Chris, who is in Barrington. Philly and South Jersey is loaded with these kinds of shops. It's a big thing in that area.
Big market.
Yeah, Play With This is in Merchantville at Scott Palace.
That's a great name.
Yeah, well, we all do that from time to time. Some more often than others. Chris Consalvi owns House of Fun. That's Barrington. I'm forgetting someone. I'm going to get punched in the nose for this. Plunder Palace is in Cherry Hill. That's Mark Walsh. These are the great guys that do this. They're really fair dudes. They have great stuff. If anybody's looking for this kind of thing this time of year, those are the 3 guys that are really the best at this industry.
Nice. Now,
Since
Mike,
I'm no longer there.
Now, Mike was a collector back in the day. I'm gonna let him tell his story to you, but because Mike will sell some stuff on eBay once in a while when he feels
it wasn't so much as like a collector. It was more of like, being spoiled by my grandfather.
Great.
So like I was into Star Wars back in the day. So it was like when I was like 6 years old, I had every figure under the tree. I knew not to play with them because, he's like, these might be worth something someday.
He knew even back then.
Yeah, we didn't know not to open them then, which really sucks. But so like he would just like see something like Transformers, robots, like he would just pick it up and it would just go under the tree for the next year. So it was like he was shopping through the whole year for me. And like at one point there was just like, a good bit of toys around.
Yeah, he
So
probably
how
liked
much
the
of that stuff has been the peeping?
I mean, I got some of it left. I sold a good bit of it because I was a little low on funds at one point, and
Right.
a lot of the stuff it was starting to break down. Like just breaking like on its own.
What happens?
Yeah, so I was like, I got to start getting rid of things because I don't really have the money to buy containers for them and just take care of them right. I was like, let me get rid of them now. So I still have some, but they're probably going to go.
Well, the stuff degrades. I work as a guitar tech now, a guitar center down here, or one of the 50 down here. And we just had this discussion about the vintage guitar market. It's the same. I tell you, it's the same mentality. And this stuff, when they build this stuff, it's meant to be used. Nobody ever thought when they made a blue snaggletooth figure for that Cantina place that this thing was going to become a priceless collectible that would be slabbed in a piece of plexiglass with a grating that would become a priceless heirloom that
Yeah.
people are going to
I
trade.
had that, and
Well, you know,
if I
that's
told you what I
$80
sold it
figure,
for,
and that was it's in the hundreds.
I
And
sold
I've
it
been
for
out of it for a while.
about $1.25. I sold mine for
Yeah,
125. Well, but this one was beat up. Like, it wasn't part of my personal collection. It was actually one of my friends had the playset. It came in, and I was
Right.
like, "Oh wow, I didn't even know about the Star Wars figure." And it was beat up, man. This had paint removed on the feet, the hands. The face was still pretty good. And he just like, "Well, here, have it." I'm like, "Oh well, thanks."
That's good.
Yeah.
They put money in your pocket.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
win-win then. So,
And,
all right,
and that's what really happened with this kind of stuff. You know, we beat the daylights out of it. It ended up in the pool. We shot them up with BB guns. We stuck firecrackers up their asses.
Oh my god,
You know, and that's what
the
the value
GI
is now.
Joes. If I tell
Right.
you what I did to my GI, and I was always good with my toys. Like, I never like really destroyed them. My GI Joes, man. Like, once I found that you can make new action figures by taking parts off of other ones and putting them together, that was it. I became Dr. Frankenstein.
I wasn't that creative.
And then you forget what goes where, and they just get put in a box and they're all together. And I just got rid of them for like probably a ridiculously low price
Fuck it.
because I didn't feel like sorting everything.
If I still had the stuff that I had when I was a kid, I have too much sentimental, you know. I'm a friggin'
it's
Mr.
tough.
Softy with shit like that. I would never. I couldn't say I would never sell it, but I think most of it, if I had it, I probably would have just kept on with it, you know, for sentimental reasons, you know.
Right.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I mean,
sentimental,
that
and
shit
then there's
was
space
just
to
thrown
keep
in the
things.
trash. Yeah, it was just in the trash when I was a kid, you know. I was done, you know, just my mom would toss it.
Yeah, well, you're not
I
thinking
sold
about that
my-
when you're a kid, you know?
I sold my wrestling figures, my He-Man, all that shit, like at flea markets, like and like for 25, 50 cents a piece. So it's like,
Damn.
and this is, I mean, I was probably like 11 or 12 back then. So it was just me getting rid of old toys.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So
We all have a mutual friend. Bert, I don't know if you are friendly with. I know Damien is. You guys know Mike D'Elia?
I don't know if I know.
See the
him.
answer to that? See the answer to that elicits?
You've seen him around.
I've seen him.
I'll point him out to you. You definitely seen him.
name doesn't ring with me.
He's a fixture.
His
a what?
online moniker
Fixture.
is Michael Mike
Yeah.
Michael
on
Mike.
Facebook. He's a great guy. He's a friend of
Mhm.
ours, and he dresses in female cosplays. He started doing this. at
Wait,
the
was that the guy that
retro
did the Wonder Woman thing a couple years ago?
Yes.
Okay, we
Yeah.
played a show. He was wearing a Wonder Woman, and I didn't know what the fuck to think.
This
Yeah.
is what he does. And apparently he came to a couple of shows where I'm not going to get into this, but apparently someone in some band had an impropriety with him
Yeah.
and he outed him. Yeah.
He
Anyway,
did.
we don't,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that on a future episode if you should show desire, but that's
Yeah.
another topic. Mike started doing that at one of our retro station toy shows,
Oh,
and he was making some kind of social commentary with it. But I mean, it attracts a lot of crazy people too. I mean,
Yeah.
the toy community attracts a lot of the looky loos. I mean, you're looking at one of them right now. But it's a funny thing. He kept a lot of what he had as a child, and to speak to Damien's point about how much of it ended up in the trash. This guy's got every action figure he
Yeah.
has owned since childhood,
Wow.
and then he's gone out, and he's not joking when he tells you that IG-88 12-inch figure that he had, the Star Wars, bounty hunter robot. He has 13 of them, all
Wow.
complete. And if he
Oh.
sees a 14th one, he'll buy it.
Yeah. He'll buy parts for them on eBay. You know, like he'll buy Darth Vader heads or arms and shit like that. And
Right.
Well,
he'll
Mike
buy parts for this.
Mike was telling me before that sometimes selling the parts, you can make more money selling the parts than the whole piece, which I thought was crazy. I'm like, they'll buy this piece, that piece. He was explaining it to me before, and I'm like, that's crazy.
Here's the thing. A Princess Leia figure, for example, her blaster is anywhere from $80 to $120. We're talking about a plastic the size of a toothpick, right?
Yeah.
The figure's worth $30 to $40. The Bespin Pick one. All right. But the
Still have
blaster,
most of
the
that.
blaster the size of a toothpick is $120. So, and now what's happening is you have to float test these weapons and check for rip tab spots and look for markings on them, because now the Chinese are repopping these things.
Wow.
And people like, when I buy a collection of Star Wars figures, I gotta go look these things over. And now the Chinese are making replica weapons that pass the
Counterfeit,
float
yeah.
tests.
I know
Wow.
mine
It's-
are 100% real, the ones I have.
Well, you had them
Right.
since you were a kid, yeah.
Well, they even had offers like on the back of them. Like you would send a proof of purchases in, and they would and look with like a couple bucks, and they'd send you like weapon packs and stuff like that.
Really?
So
Right.
throughout the years, like I even had a bunch of them.
Wow. That's
So
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Let's get into some toy stuff. I'm gonna start with Damo first. Damo, come up with a toy and let's see what you got there, buddy.
Well, I think that my favorite one was I turned 5, so it was like my 5th Christmas, and I got He-Man,
Oh, yeah.
Skeletor,
Shelter.
Castle Grayskull,
Yeah.
Battle Cat. What was the Panther? Was it Panther or whatever?
Panther,
Skeletor's-
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Beast Man, Man at Arms. Dude, I got all of them that were out. My parents got them for me at that time because they had just came out, so they didn't have a zillion figures. But man, just like I remember the smell, I remember how they felt and
Yeah.
everything. And
Yep.
you know, I remember the little comic books were like,
Yeah.
they're really dark. I mean, it wasn't like the cartoon. It was almost like it was like Conan the Barbarian, like darker than that. You know, it was just like, it was almost like horror.
yeah, some of them are pretty creepy looking. Like
Yeah,
remember Moss
yeah.
Man?
I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah.
Moss Man.
Because when you said the smell, that was like the first one that kind of popped in my head, because he had this like weird kind of like turf smell to him or something.
Yeah.
Well, they made figures that deliberately stunk. Well, Stinkor deliberately
Stinkor.
had
Oh, I
that
remember Stinkor. Yeah, he was one of the later ones, I think.
a little later.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Well, the box art, those were actually oil on canvas paintings that they put
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
Grayskull and the Fright Zone and Snake Mountain. They were
Snake
pretty
Mountain,
gothic looking
yeah.
paintings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost like Frank Frazetta like in their way they
Yeah.
looked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
That
the
was a very
Castle,
cool
Definitely.
toy line.
Mhm.
Castle Grayskull, I fucking loved. That was like a big toy for me. I was like,
Yeah.
just cool.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. But as far as the He-Man goes, I had a couple of those. I've said this before, probably that Many Faces was my favorite one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was an
The
awesome
head.
one.
You could switch the head.
I was pissed off when the cartoon came out and Man at Arms had a mustache. I was like, I was up at
And
this.
they were
The
calling
figure
him
I had
Duncan.
he doesn't have a mustache, so I had to get like a brown marker and
Oh, you made it.
Weren't they calling him?
Oh.
What was he? Duncan? Duncan. They used to
yeah.
call him.
Duncan,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
See,
fucking
you'll-
Duncan. He's not
You'd
Duncan.
be surprised how many He-Man collections as a toy store you buy where I had to like try and find a way to clean the mustache
That's
Yeah.
funny.
to be able to make the figure ready for market. There was a Clearasil trick where you had to put benzoyl peroxide on the figure and let it sit for like 3 weeks to pull the ink out of the face.
Oh my god.
Because even my
I-
brother did the same thing. He took a ballpoint pen and put a mustache on
I
that figure.
don't feel so bad.
Yeah, a lot of
That
people
was
were
the only
doing
one.
it. Now, Jared, as far as sticking with the He-Man thing for a second, out of the He-Man, what's the most expensive figure He-Man wise that was in your store at one time?
The big three. You ready for this? The big three is the King Randor, especially if he is complete. That cape and that crown are always missing. The Sorceress is an expensive figure. And they did a version of Skeletor where he was actually a skeleton that glowed in the dark.
Oh
wow.
So
Wow.
he was the Scare Glow Skeletor.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't
Me
remember
either.
that one.
They came at the very end, and then there was a Eternia play set that was, I don't know why, the literally the toy was earmarked for cancellation. So how do they end the toy line? They decide to put out something that was 8 Castle Grayskulls in size
Wow.
as a
So
play
it-
set. The
I'm
Eternia
thinking,
play
like-
set that consisted of 3 towers, a drawbridge, a bunch of chains, a million pieces of minutia.
Holy shit.
To see this thing in person, it's impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And
sounds it, man. I'm gonna
three-
look. I gotta look this up. What's it called now?
Look this up.
The
and it is
Eternia
not
playset?
cheap. The Eternia playset. And 3 months later, the toy line was gone. It was canceled.
Wow.
Oh. And what was
So those are the big three.
what was the company that put them out?
Mattel.
Mattel,
Mattel.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm always the bad. I always like the bad guys, like the Skeletors and Beast
the
Man.
He-Man Rogues
Beast Man,
Gallery
I
is
like.
a great Rogues Gallery.
Oh wow.
You get found a picture, Mike?
Yeah.
I'll
I
follow
don't
up put it
remember
up
this
later
at
on.
all.
Yeah, I don't
Toward the end
remember
of
it
the
either.
line.
Yeah. I had the was the Hordak and all that. The evil horde. That was like
Well,
towards
weren't
the
they
end,
from?
I think.
Weren't they from the Shira? I think they were from.
I think they
Weren't-
kind of.
I think I could be wrong.
It was like a crossover,
Right.
if I remember correctly. I think it was like a crossover thing.
All right, so Mike D, what toys on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, we could go like the easy ones, like the Transformers and all that stuff. I want to go with some a little more obscure stuff since we got a guy on here that knows about toys.
I got a guy.
Yes, we got a guy.
I'll do my best.
But I'll tell you, these toys, I actually loved them as a kid. They were a very cheap toy. They were these bendy toys. Like, you remember those with the metal and the kind of rubber? They would just stay in the position.
I don't know
Like
if I know.
I remember they had the WWF ones. Like
Yeah,
bendy ones.
but these were
They're
called
small.
like these were like the Star Wars size action figures, and they were called from a toy line called The Other World. And they were like maybe like $1, like 50 a figure or something like that. And like they were like my outdoor playing, destroying toys. But like now you look back and they're worth a little bit.
Oh, you talking about the alien figures?
They were like
Oh, I
a
see. Them.
cross between like Alien and He-Man.
Yeah, I see them. I kind of remember them. Yeah, I just looked it up.
There were a lot of 5 and dime toys at that point. And
Yeah.
what a lot of the toy collectors now refer to those as KOs or knockoffs.
Right.
And they
Well,
bring
these
up
really
a ton of
weren't,
money.
because these were like big. They were pushed. They were pushed in Toys R Us. Like they had displays and stuff for them and everything.
I don't remember them that well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see them. It almost looks like Dungeons and Dragons type.
Meets
that-
like caveman stuff, kind of like,
Yeah.
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 I don't
What
remember
was the
this.
toy line called again, Mike?
Arco made it.
Yeah, it's a knockoff toy line, Arco.
I'm going to go with Stretch Armstrong. I used to love that toy. I mean, that was a fucking heavy toy, man. That was that. Did you ever? Any of you guys ever have that?
No. I was not
Mike
allowed.
wasn't allowed. Jerry, have you seen a lot of them in the store?
They were hard. Let me tell you, Bert, they were hard to find then and now. And the villain was even harder to find.
The monster.
There was
guy,
a
right?
villain?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 2 guys, I think.
I didn't even know about that. Yeah. Huh.
There was like and I forget his name off the top of my head. He was like a reptilian creature.
Yes, I see it right now. Did he have a
And like a
name?
green and yellow reptilian creature. And then they did there was even a throw in. They repopped that figure later on
Yes.
as well.
But it was
But
like-
that figure now is a lot of money. And
Wow, I
really
thought they were
any
pretty common.
incarnation of it.
No, it was hard to get. When I was a kid, it was hard to get.
Really?
But it was fucking.
I mean,
heavy.
because like you said, Jarek, because a few years ago at my store where I work at a pharmacy, we were able to actually order them from one of the drug companies.
Wow.
Right.
And the one pharmacist got one as a joke. So we had it sit in the store. Like he was actually inking it up and everything. So, but yeah, it was like, this thing was probably a cost like $25.
Right. Yeah, they've repopped that figure a few times through the years. Somehow that name keeps going back into the public domain, is my understanding. I'm not 100%
Oh, really?
sure.
That's crazy.
I'm speculating, but this is what I was told. Like the Captain Action toy line that was owned by Ideal about 20 years ago, that name went into public domain, and a company called Playing Manis picked it up and repopped a bunch of
Mixtapes
the
and tasty
Captain Action
cakes.
stuff.
See you next week.
So they were getting licenses to do like Flash Gordon outfits and things like that. Because that was the premise of the toy line, was a very 12-inch hero doll you could change into Batman in the various, costumes. So it didn't do very well. And in fact, it ended up being relegated to like hobby shops, and it sat in the clearance aisles for years. But yeah, these companies sit around waiting for these toy lines to kind of like fail, and then they go in the public domain and people swoop in and grab up the names. Johnny Lightning die-cast cars are a great example of a name that was owned by Topper Toys in the 60s. They went belly up, and then the name went in the public domain, and now Playing Mantis owns it. Just to speak to Mike's point about this Stretch Armstrong and why he keeps reappearing every 10 or 15 years.
That Stretch Armstrong, I just remembered as a kid. I just remember, you hit somebody with that, you really fucking hurt them.
Yes, heavy.
Well, that was the thing. Like, two people would struggle with it, and one would let go and knock the other one out.
Yeah.
So
And listen, I had sisters. Damien had a brother. God only knows if them two were fight with that Stretch Armstrong. You know what I mean? But Jared, you want to come up with a toy? What's on your mind?
Geez, this is a tough one. But the one from my youth would be early on. That would be Adventure Team G.I. Joe. You guys remember them with the fuzzy hair and the beards and the rubber hands? Kung Fu grip.
Yes.
The first ones,
Yeah, well, they started out as a military figure in the 60s, and I think by the time the Vietnam War was in full swing, I think this country had enough of the military, so they changed them into these adventurers. So instead of them being Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, they were an air adventurer, sea adventurer, and white tiger hunt and capture the pygmy gorilla, and all these different like jungle adventures and things like that. And they had the big yellow Mummy's Tomb adventure vehicle, and you'd get it, open it up, and it'd be like a little plastic sarcophagus with a little white mummy inside it. And that was, my grandmother didn't speak a lick of English. She came over from Italy, but she knew to go and find me that set. So I was 4 years old, and I got that Mummy's Tomb adventure, and very fond memories of that. So 3 years later, it was another G.I. Joe, and it became Super Joe. So it was that and Amigo Gene Simmons, same grandmother.
Nice.
So because of what they were, because of who they came from, those would be my top picks.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I'll tell you, look at that G.I. Joe, man. The facial hair is on point. It's good. I mean, it's fuzzy. It's definitely fuzzy.
They flocked them with static, believe it or not.
Really?
Yep.
I remember, man, there was like, because you said the Migo, man, like back in the day, there was like, do you remember the Bazaar?
Oh, yeah.
And they had this, I think it was like a KB like outlet store in there. And they used to have like tons of those Migo action figures in there, like dirt cheap.
When you say the Bazaar, I want to back you up. Out in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Where in PA? Like out like Delco?
I think it was Delco.
Oh man, I was a little kid, so I couldn't even give you the exact location. I just remember the place.
Like, because
if I describe it like
company store and the Bazaar there, that's a great place. I'm sorry.
You might be right. I remember like this was a place like you first walked in and they had like all this like bread baking and stuff like that, like from Amish country and stuff.
We're talking about the same place for sure.
Mm-hmm. Great place, man. But like you can get like a lot. Like you would always find like toys that were like, okay, they're done with the line and now they're going to sell them and they're cheap and stuff. So
clearance rack stuff.
Yep.
And Amigo's still putting out stuff. The new stuff they're putting out, the new kids figures are awful. Them little ones.
Are they really? I haven't
look
seen
like them.
They look terrible, man.
Bad. really bad. Damon,
the Abrams family got the name back, and they're putting out any license they can get their hands on.
Make as much money as they could, yeah.
You know what? With the Migos though, the old ones, man, like the downfall of them, they're worth a little bit. Some of them, if they're in good condition, but they fall apart. They just deteriorate.
Do you know what the end of Migo was?
What's that?
There's a piece of trivia for you. George Lucas went around to every toy company to say, "Hey, my name is George Lucas. I produced and directed American Graffiti. I got this great new science fiction fantasy film called Star Wars. Here's a couple of Ralph McQuarrie drawings of the movie. What do you think?" And the Abrams family, who Amiga said, not interested. So they went to Kenner and said, we'll take it. That was the end of Migo because Kenner put out the Star Wars toy line.
Wow.
And Migo tried with Micronauts and a bunch of other things. And within 2 years, it was too late.
I'm glad you actually took my next one with that too.
I'm sorry.
When you said no. But I love the Micronauts, man. I used to love them.
Remember that?
I don't remember them. I don't remember them.
Oh yeah,
Great.
look them up, man. They were awesome. At least
Micronauts?
I thought they were. Yeah.
It kind of looked like a Darth Vader kind of looking thing.
There's a
Weird.
bunch of different
Micronauts?
things, man. Yeah, they had a bunch of different ones. Like there was like, Star Wars size action figures. I forget the actual term for it.
Oh
but
my god, yeah, there's
Yeah,
a
there's
cartoon.
like
The dude looks like Darth Vader.
They had the space glider. The Darth Vader was called Baron Karza, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, Baron Karza. Yeah.
But they had also
got
these like
problems, guys.
structures and stuff, man. Like you could, it was almost like for constructs. Like you could put together like buildings and things like that.
Yep.
They were
Yeah,
Micronauts
the
were
Baron
awesome.
Karza figure held together magnetically, believe it or not.
I still have that.
You
Great
still got it?
figure.
Yeah.
There was 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, Force Commander Baron
Mm-hmm.
Karza, and there was a green one.
I can't remember the
called,
name.
A red and green one called. It's killing me. They were big in Italy. Those figures, huge in Italy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
What was that one called? The Red Falcon was the one. That was the third one.
Yeah, that's the one I don't think I had.
They're hard to find. The Red Falcon, the Force Commander, and Baron Karza were the 3 magnetically powered figures.
I got to look up and see what this Baron Karza is.
It's pretty
That's
cool.
the Darth
looking.
Vader
Like,
looking one.
dude,
yeah.
his head
that's
is,
the 2 I
his
had.
head is Darth Vader. It's the same friggin' thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Wow.
I kind of remember like the
And
magnetic.
they had the
action
horse. They had the
figure for some
horse
reason.
too, I think.
Yeah, Andromeda.
Yeah, that's pretty. I love the name Baron Karza. That's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wrestling name.
It's great, man. Damo, what you got, buddy?
Okay, I really don't know which one was first. For some reason, I always thought this one was first, but I used to really like the GoBots.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were first and then Transformers. They came in around the same time, or maybe it was the other way around. But I kind of like them a little bit better than the Transformers. They're smaller action figures. The when you would transform the robot into the car or whatever, they're like the same size as Hot Wheels, so you could use your Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars and play in the same play set. You know what I mean? Then they had like this big giant robot spaceship kind of thing, and
I had that.
yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, right? They
And
had
it was like
cartoons.
it opened up and then you
It
stand
opened
it
up.
up and it had the elevator inside of it.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of like almost like an AT-AT from Star Wars kind of
Yes.
thing. Also, like I think it
Mhm.
had legs too, and walked, and then it would be a space
Yeah,
ship.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Right?
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had the little scooter, the red scooter. He was sort of like the Bumblebee, of like the GoBots,
Yeah, they had the yellow VW.
Yeah.
Well, if I remember right, though, I think the GoBots and the Transformers were made in Japan. They might have been actually made under the same company.
Yeah,
said
maybe.
But before they
One
got
was one was Bandai and one was Takara.
something like that. Yeah.
Hasbro put out the Transformers here in the United States under license to Takara, and I believe it was Mattel put out the GoBots here under license to Bandai,
Mm.
and I might have them reversed. It's one of those two
Right.
variations,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. You can check that out. Fact check. It's one of those two things, Mike.
Here we go. I just looked it up. GoBots actually came out a year before Transformers in America.
How about that?
So like 83,
Yeah.
right? 83.
83, yeah. Yeah.
They actually existed in Japan. This is the Transformers in the 1970s, believe it or not. They were called Diaclones.
Oh, that's a cool name too.
Mhm.
So Starscream was actually an F-15 military jet that had a little pilot in his cockpit that was Microman.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a couple of them.
Yeah, they're very rare. And then Megatron was called something else. So if you get a very early version of Megatron, he has a 1974 stamp on him.
Oh, really?
They eventually got rid of that stamp. There's a few other. Optimus Prime was called Super Convoy
Oh wow.
before he was Optimus Prime. So that was all, they were in Japan. Well, everything was in Japan first.
Yeah.
And this stuff is all kind of tied into like the Shogun Warriors and Transor Z and all this stuff. It's all kind of the same family. Ultraman.
I have Shoguns.
Mhm.
You got Shoguns, Mike? Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
I remember the comic book.
Yeah. LGN, the old wrestling figures, the ones you couldn't move. They were stuck in the position they were stuck in. How are they,
hard
Joe?
rubber ones?
The hard rubber ones. They were heavy too. Did they go for a bit, Jared, at your store?
Yeah, certain ones are big bucks. And it's crazy. It's another thing with the weapons, if you want to call them that. The classy Freddy Blassie rubber figure, that cane is worth more than the figure.
Wow.
And Roddy's skirt is worth more than Roddy, and so forth and so on.
That's so crazy. That's right.
I'm looking for a chic. Right, the skirt came off.
Skirt came off.
But those LJN figures are starting to bring some money now. It's like for real.
Dude, the paint.
And the
I have a
Hasbro
couple. The
figures,
paint wears off.
The paint wears off of them really easily, but wrestling stuff right now is insane.
Really?
And not even just vintage necessarily, but anything that is luchador, lucha libre, anything that has to do with Pentagon Jr. or Ray Phoenix, any of that stuff is insane. Mil Muertes, any of that Lucha Underground, forget it. The AEW has, they're all, if you count the AEW figures for Penta and for Phoenix, then yes, they do make figures, but I don't think Lucha Underground ever merchandised figures. Not that I'm aware of.
Right. But the Penta and the, two guys from Lucha Underground did put out some, I guess because we're with AEW now. But yeah, I heard them AEW figures aren't cheap. Even when they're new, they're not really cheap.
Well, what's happening is people are walking into Walmart and buying Penta and Phoenix and scalping them on eBay for a quadruple.
That's crazy.
And people are stepping up and paying it.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
Are they that hard to find those, or
they're scooping them up probably? Yeah, it's probably hot right now. Wow. Jared, what else you got? You got anything else that's interesting that would come in the store? How about a Salacious Crumb? You ever have a Salacious Crumb?
Yes.
What is
Salacious Crumb was part of the
I love the name.
it's great.
Salacious Crumb was part of the Jabba the Hutt dungeon playset.
Mm-hmm.
And he
would come in a little baggie by himself.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
the little guy that pulls
the little rat looking
3PO's eyeball out.
Yeah.
And so what happened was there was like a warehouse find of Salacious Crumbs in the little Kenner baggies about 20 years ago.
Wow.
So at one point I think I had like 16 of those figures laying around. Wow. And now, everybody wants to complete their box setup. So you're seeing a lot of these baggy figures popping up lately too.
Did that set go for some money? That whole set?
That set is starting to pick up some steam. Anything that's Return of the Jedi is like, somehow that's like the last in line, bad pun, but people really want that 12-back era stuff. And Final 17. If you're a real serious Star Wars toy collector, they want 12 backs and they want Final 17.
With the coins.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
And they were a miserable failure in the market when they came out. You guys might remember that they sat on the clearance racks forever.
Right.
The Imperial Dignitary, the Amana Man.
Oh my God, he's worth a lot of money.
There's a lot. There are hundreds of dollars loose. Then there was a figure they made for the European and Canadian market. It was the Yak Face.
Oh yeah.
And that figure, I was getting $250 for him before we closed the shop. That figure loose is now pulling $5.
Damn.
Wow. Was that the rarest figure? The Yak Face one? Was that supposed to be the rarest figure for Star Wars?
Yeah.
He's as far as the production era figures, he's tough. The Vinyl Cape Jawa is among the toughest. The toughest two of the production figures, Bert, are the double telescoping Vader and the double telescoping Ben.
When did they stop making them? The whole original run.
80. I'm gonna take a step out here. 85, I think, Damien.
Yeah.
Because they had some tertiary lines afterwards. They had the Final 17, and then they did a Droids line based on a failed cartoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
those
I
are
remember
worth a little bit.
They went up, and then they did an Ewoks line also based
Yeah,
on a
those are the
failed
worst.
cartoon. And they were nothing until about 6 or 7 years ago. Now,
Mhm.
good luck. Go touch them.
Wow.
Now, Jared, was there any toy in your store that you really didn't want to get rid of?
A couple. And I didn't, believe it or not. The ones we brought down here that are not for sale, I have a store display Rocket Raccoon life size that I kept. And then as far as the vintage stuff goes, we kept the Great Garloo and we kept the Rocket Commando, which are like 60s, like battery op toys, big
Oh, nice.
3 foot tall plastic. The Great Garloo, it looks like a
I
gargoyle.
don't remember that.
Like, I would say like it was before our time for sure, Mike. It was just something that I liked.
I'm going to look this up.
Look this up. You're gonna see that he's goofy looking,
I'm
but
looking it up.
so look up Great Garloo and Rocket Commando, or Robot Commando. Forgive me.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
I see that. That is
That's
weird.
pretty
looking.
crazy looking. What's it like?
So
It's like a remote control or something, or
Yeah, the real kitchen. It's hardwired to a remote
Yeah,
control.
yeah.
Wow, the Great Garloo looks like Amazon from Pro Wrestling from Nintendo.
yes.
That's great.
Or the Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe. Yes.
What was the other one? Rocket something?
Robot Commando.
A Robot Commando. Let me look at it.
And that was made by Ideal Toys. It's a red and blue, very weird. These are typical Atomic Age, early 60s toys.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, I see that.
They came in, but at the same time, original owner, older guy, just like the store. So I had these 2 toys at home when I was a kid. I'd like to come and sell them to you. I said, well, what are they? He said, well, I don't know what they're called, but I had them when I was a kid. And one's this big green reptile guy, and one's this red and blue robot. I knew right what they were.
Right.
And he walked in and asked how much were they worth, and I was honest with him. Like, I'm not gonna. He had no clue. I could have told him $10 a piece, and he would have sold them to me. But that's not the way to own stuff.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to enjoy it that way. I think I paid like $400 for the pair,
Wow.
and so I'll never be able to replace them easily. So they're down here in Florida.
Any other toys you want to mention? Sure?
To speak to Mike's point about the G1 Transformers, in high school I was still buying toys because that's the kind of idiot that I am. And
I still bought a few around high school.
yeah, I auditioned for a band in high school called Deceiver, and the guitar player wanted to come over to my house one night to show me a few songs and prepare me for audition. And here I had a Castle Gray skull and a bunch of figures set up in my bedroom. And some G1 Transformers. I had a bunch of Decepticon jets. I'm like, oh, man, I better get these things down before this guy comes over here and ridicules me. So he gets out of time. He got over there. He walked in. We plugged in. He's, oh, man, cool Decepticons, dude. So I ended up in the band, and that was the end of that. So it goes to show you how rock musicians are really nerdy people after all.
Yeah, I mean, but there's certain things that are just cool. Like Transformers were always kind of considered like cool for display. Like it wasn't like they ever were like oh, dude, you got Transformers. You suck.
Yeah, no. But
it's not like you're
it's
not like we're talking about My Little Ponies here or anything like that.
It's amazing as we get older, the shit that we loved when we were a kid. And then, you lose touch with it a little bit. Like, I'll go back to, I've been watching some kids wrestling. Like, I've been watching wrestling since a little kid. And then, in the late 80s, 90s, I kind of fell off because you find, music or whatever was more interesting. Now, as you get older, you go back to the same shit you used to like when you were a kid now. I guess it's nostalgia or something, but it's crazy.
I don't have no interest in the toys, though, man. It's just like
I still like looking at them, though. I'm still, like, when Toys R Us closed, near where I work, Toys R Us closed a couple years ago. But I would just go to Toys R Us once or twice a week just to at least look at shit, just to see what I'm missing, And all the new toys suck,
I think everybody here does that. The new toys are not that great, really.
Yeah, no. Not as much fun. Definitely not.
Because the kids rather play with their phones anyway. So
yeah.
What's the point?
Stuff back then, it seemed it was. I thought the quality was better. It just seemed little more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I like the
don't
fact that they're bringing back, they're starting to put clothing back on the action figure, which I kind of think is pretty cool. Like I remember having, I think it was a Luke Skywalker and a Darth Vader. The action figures are about that big, but they had like the robe. It was like, remember the white robe for Luke Skywalker, but it was like cloth, right? It was cloth. Now, Mike, you were saying something before that one action figure, I think from Star Wars, you were telling me before that I think it started off as a cloth cape and then it was a plastic cape.
Oh, he was just talking the Jawas.
It was the Jawa. Okay, it was the Jawa.
It was actually plastic cape first, I think, and they didn't make that many of them. And then they did the cloth cape. There might have been another one. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, you got the order 100% correct, Mike. It was the plastic cape didn't last long. It was yanked quickly.
Right, and they put the cloth on after that.
And they also had a variation of the Boba Fett, one that shot the missile, and then the later ones, I think the missile was like glued or welded in or something.
Yeah.
Well, they had to yank that because
You'll shoot your eye out.
None of us really knew why in the moment, because the Carter figures are saying send in your UPCs and get this rocket firing Boba Fett, and then when you got the thing in the mail, you got a disclaimer note saying, hey, for your safety, this thing's not going to fire. Sorry about the confusion. Well, here later on, a buddy of mine named Gary Borbage, he's actually a Marlton police officer, is involved in a book called Engineering an Empire. And what he and two other guys did was they went around to Ohio and a bunch of other places and met all these guys that sculpted all the original wax figures that became the figures. So Kenner was very involved locally in the charities with the local churches and these orphanages, and they would give kids toys at Christmas time. These prototypes, after they were done, would go and say, here's a bunch of toys. I think what they were getting at was, I think one of these kids shot their eye out, so to speak.
Oh, jeez.
With a rocket firing
Choked on
Boba Fett. And I think Kenner got sued.
Wow.
This is what we suspect happened. So from that point forward, it was like, okay, every year for Christmas, we'll give you money. No more toys.
Buy your own toys.
Buy your own toys. So that's what I think somewhere on the line, someone shot their eye out.
Wow.
But yeah, Mike's right. But what happened was a couple of prototypes slipped through. So you have these, and they're real, and they're six figures if you want to buy one, what they call J slots and L slots. And the back of the figure has either a J cut or an L cut. I don't know if you can see my finger or not. And you pull this lever and you lock it, and there's a spring, and when you release it, it shoots the rocket out of the back of its back.
Wow.
And one of them is unpainted. It's the first prototype. And if you have 500 grand, you can buy one.
Wow.
And then the other one's the J slot. That's the painted version. That's the second one. If you have 200 grand and the collector's willing to sell his, you can buy one of them. But I think there's like 10 of each in existence.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
How big was it? Were they little figures or bigger figures?
They look exactly like the Boba Fett figures we all
Like
had.
6-inch.
The little guys?
Wow. The little 4-inch, whatever they were. Yeah. They look exactly like them, except that these actually fire the rocket.
$5,000.
And then there's a guy in Australia that you can send your real Boba Fett to, who for $100 will make it fire a rocket for you.
I love it. Very cool. Damo, you got anything, bud?
Remember Mask?
Yeah.
Great.
No.
It was a cartoon, and they were action figures. They were small.
Yeah, great cartoon.
The guys would put like these helmets on, like these masks or whatever. And I remember there were small figures, maybe 2-3 inches, maybe.
They were pretty
They had
tiny.
cars, or some sort of vehicle, and the play set was a
Boulder Hill play set.
Boulder Hill, yeah. You hit a button, and this big boulder would come crashing down.
And Kenner, I'm looking, says Kenner put that out too. That was a Kenner toy.
I guess
line?
so. Yeah, it wasn't.
I believe so.
Yeah, it wasn't really that popular. I just remember I had some of my friend. He had like the whole play set thing.
I don't remember.
The vehicles would moderately transform a little bit.
Yeah. It was like MASK, I think.
Yeah.
I have maybe one or two of them. They came out sort of when I was almost like done playing with toys. But like I saw it, it was just so cool. I had to have it, kind of thing.
Okay, guys, we got a bunch of stupid questions here for you. I'm going to start off with Damien. Dame, who's your favorite character in the Soprano series?
Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah, he's good. He's definitely a fun character. Mike D.
That's my answer too, man. Paulie Walnuts.
Everybody loves Paulie Walnuts.
Come on, if the name doesn't get you, great character behind it.
How about you, Jer?
You're gonna hate my answer.
Go ahead.
Never watched the show.
No. Wow, really?
Never watched it.
Fine Italian boy like yourself.
That crazy?
You know, yeah. I got into it. I got into it pretty late. I think I started watching it right at the last season is when I started watching them.
Yeah, it's worth the watch. It's really, really good. I'm gonna go with Richie.
I'm gonna one of these days I'm gonna binge watch it. I never thought to do it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it though. Now, you know, you don't have to. Oh, Jerry, we lost Jerry. Here he goes. Yeah, you binge watch it. That's the way to do everything right now. All right, Damo. Ice cream.
Wait, who did you say, Bert? I didn't hear you.
I said Richie Aprile.
What's your answer?
Richie Aprile. That's my favorite.
Okay.
I love Richie Aprile. He was only around for a season or two, but that was my favorite. All right, so we're gonna go Damo. Ice cream cone or snow cone?
Ice cream.
Damien's going with the ice cream. Mike D, ice cream cone, snow cone.
Ice cream.
How about you, Jer?
Ice cream.
I'm with you. I'm going with the ice cream myself. All right, Damo, let's get a little personal here. Which side of the bed do you sleep on?
The right.
You got to make sure. Damien's on the right-hand side. Mike D.
You know what?
Oh, wait. Dave's got to stay home.
It actually kind of depends. I mean, at the house, it's the right. But I guess usually when we go, when we're staying in a hotel, it's the left. I don't know why.
Probably because you're closer to the door.
Yeah,
you get it first. Somebody comes through the door, maybe.
Exactly right. You should be closer to the door.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like when you sit in a restaurant, I got to be facing the door. I don't like to be sitting behind. I want to see what's going on.
See who's coming.
Yeah.
So you see who's coming. If somebody's going to come after you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mike D, which side do you sleep on?
I sleep on the whole side of the couch.
The whole couch. You take
the whole couch.
Does your feet hang over? Does them feet hang over? No
hang.
Jer, which side of the bed?
Left-hand side.
Yeah, me too. I'm the
left-hand side of the bed. She takes the rest.
Oh yeah. I try and creep a little close sometimes, but it don't work all the time. I get kicked right out.
Right.
All right, guys, move on to the next one. Damo, as a kid, not now, as a kid, favorite superhero?
I think Batman.
Mike D.
I'd probably say Superman.
Superman. Jared?
As a kid, you said yes.
Who was it?
As a kid.
Oh, as a kid. As a kid.
Green Lantern.
Nice.
Oh, he was awesome. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to go with that. He's not my favorite now, but when I was a kid, I loved Batman. But to go off topic for a second, do you guys remember at one point, I remember going to like the candy store in the corner, and they used to sell these things. I don't know if gum came with it, but they were like these little mini comic books were called Origins.
Yes.
You remember them with all the superheroes Origins were in it? Anybody remember them?
I remember them. Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because the Green Lantern made me think of it.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I loved the Green Lantern, but I never seen that much of him. It was always Batman or Superman.
But from those little comics, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they were like these little mini comic books.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Origins. I was like, oh, I'm going to get everybody's origin, everybody's story, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, moving on to the next one. What was the last movie you watched there, Damo?
Aliens.
Really?
I saw for the first time last night.
Really?
Ain't that crazy?
Wow. The first one or the second one? Second one, Aliens, right?
The second one.
The second one. That's the
I
best
saw
one.
I saw the first one for the first time Sunday night.
Wow,
I'm a little behind.
that's crazy. Mike D.
I don't watch movies anymore.
It's a lot of fun, this guy.
Yeah. What was that last one we reviewed?
I don't know. Oh,
Well, if you go back a couple episodes, that's
he don't even remember it.
It was so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the one with the girl horror writer.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that one.
Yeah, looks like none of us remember which one it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck
Well, that's the last movie I saw.
it. Jerry D. Last movie you seen?
Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Nice. They got like a shitload of that Planet 8 movies out, right? The old ones, right?
It's too many.
That's crazy. I don't know if I remember
These are
that
like
one.
first. That's the second one.
Okay. It's the second one. So yeah, I remember the first one. I remember the original first one, and then after that, it's kind of like a blur for me.
Right. The second one looks like the first one, but it's not. And after that, it's off the rail. If you see it, you'll understand what I mean by that.
I won't have to watch it this weekend. I'll definitely
Right, I'll
check
have to
it.
watch
James,
that movie.
James Francisco. Yeah, you'll like it.
Yeah, I love that stuff. For me, the last movie I watched was yesterday, and it was on Netflix. It was really good. A movie called The Unforgiven with Sandra Bullock. It was really good.
With who?
Sandra Bullock.
Okay, not the Clint Eastwood one.
No, it's called Unforgiven. It's on Netflix now, and it's really good. Really, really, really good. Okay, next question. Favorite Christmas movie, Damo?
Oh man. Shit.
That's a tough question.
Yeah. It's a couple good ones. Damo thinking hard.
Yeah, because I'm now going to say something and then I'm going to remember
You want to
something
change
way
your
better.
mind at this moment in time. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Probably Christmas Vacation.
Oh, that's fucking good. I forgot about that. That's good. That's a good one. Mike D.
Man, I'm gonna go with my childhood one. I could go with the one now, but you're probably gonna take it. I'm gonna go with Christmas Story.
It's Fragile. It's Italian.
Yes, great movie.
Jerry D.
Man, Mike, that's a good one. That was going to be my answer too, brother.
That's good.
Hey,
That's
you can
good.
pick
Hey, you can take it.
But I'll go with the Peanuts one's too obvious. So I'm going to go with Fat Albert's Christmas.
Wow. I haven't seen that in fucking forever. Wow.
They go to old Mudfoot's house. Remember old Mudfoot?
Mudfoot. Yeah.
And the door to his house is a refrigerator door. Yeah, I'll go with that.
I don't know
That
if
was
I
a great
remember that.
cartoon.
Yeah, that's a great cartoon. I'm going to go with I would have went with A Christmas Story, but Damien remembered me. Damien made me fucking rethink of my choice. Christmas Vacation, definitely. I'm going Christmas Vacation.
You know what? I want to go back and say Home Alone.
You changed it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and say Bad Santa.
That's a good one.
There you go. That's a good one too.
That's a good one. Yeah. All right. Christmas song you can't stand, Damo. You're fucking sick of this song.
Easy. That fucking Mariah Carey song, whatever the hell it's called.
Anything by Mariah Carey.
That was it. That Last Christmas. That one is
No. All I Want for Christmas Is You. God damn, it's the
It's
worst.
bad. Yeah.
That is like, that puts me in such a shitty mood.
It don't make you holly jolly.
No.
Mike D.
Well, my answer is that Last Christmas song. I thought it was Mariah Carey, but
That's
maybe
at
it's
George
not.
Michael's. That's at George.
But I think she
Michael's.
might have done a cover of it. I could be wrong, but is that George Michael?
Yeah.
When I hear that song, I just like
Wham.
it's like, oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah. How about you, Jack?
I think Christmas music's bad anyway. I don't know.
Very happy. He's a very happy fellow. What you got, Jack?
I'm I'm going to step on the holiest of holies here, guys. That Paul McCartney.
Ooh, that's a bad one.
Oh, dude. I can't do it. So, yeah.
Which one is that?
Simply having wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad.
It makes my skin crawl.
That's bad.
I realize I'm touching the untouchable, but I can't do it.
No, it's all right here. Definitely all right here. I'm
No,
with you.
that's
That's
fine.
pretty bad. That's a bad one. For me, it's not that I don't like the song, but my wife plays it 1,000 fucking times. I don't want to hear "Do They Know It's Christmas" anymore. She plays it on fucking repeat 1,000 times. Great song when it came out. Leave it the fuck alone now. She plays it over and over and over. And she's the kind of person that if she likes something, she don't play it once. She keeps playing it, like fucking the rotation. I won't go in the car with her. It's that and fucking 3 other fucking songs that I hear 1,000 times. I had enough. She beats it to death, man. Awful.
Didn't you go on this rant last Christmas about something?
I probably did. Probably about the same thing. It probably was the same
I
song.
think it was.
That last Christmas, she plays 2 or 3, and I'm like, oh. And then the Africa song, "Feed the World," 1,000 fucking times. She only plays it near Christmas. I'm like, they already know it's fucking Christmas. I got enough fucking problems. I'm not worried about Africa.
We Are the World?
You know. Yeah, we are the
Feed the world.
Shouldn't that be like a
we are the
Thanksgiving
world.
song?
What the fuck's the difference? Huh?
Shouldn't that be a Thanksgiving song?
Yeah, maybe.
Feed the world.
It's all the same.
World
Yeah.
hunger.
All right, guys. Favorite holiday Christmas special, Damo?
Maybe the Charlie Brown one. Does that count?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. How about you there, Mike D?
I'm going with that one also.
2 Charlie Browns. Jer?
Hat trick.
All 3 is, huh? Oh, man.
Come on. Don't screw it up.
I like the Year Without a Santa Claus with the Heat Miser and the Cold Miser.
That's good.
I like that one. I like the song.
Yeah.
All those those claymation ones are kind of cool.
They're
Dude,
great.
they're so
They're
neat
all-
looking. Aren't they neat looking? It's fucking
Yeah.
it's
Frank
wild.
Bass, yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
wild,
yeah.
man.
I wish they would do them again, man. Everything's got to be that Pixar or whatever.
I hate like computer generated stuff.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
it lacks the warmth for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, think that all the work that went into that, like the claymation, it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
so
I love
crazy.
all that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Where we at here? He-Man or Skeletor? Demo.
I've always liked Skeletor. Even his voice. Hey man.
Mike D.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like it would be neither of them. I mean, I'd probably go with He-Man because like I want to go with Skeletor, but that screechy voice, man. It's like he was like a wimp on top of it. So it's like I don't know, I'm going with He-Man.
Wow. Jerry D.
Skeletor. Even though the guy who did his voice got drunk and tried to pick up my wife at RetroCon 5 years ago.
Yeah.
True
That's
story.
funny.
That's fucking great.
Uh,
It's great. I'm going with Skeletor. I love skulls, so it's an easy one for me. Okay,
Yep.
last question. I'm going to try and read this without tripping up here. Damo, when watching Frosty the Snowman, does it give you Christmas cheer, or are you just hoping the sun melts him away?
Nah, I always feel bad when he melts away at the end, and he comes back though, doesn't he? Yeah, that
They all come
always
back.
kind of got me a little sad.
Damo's he wants Frosty to stay. Mike D.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could stay. Everybody, you know what? Did anybody see that commercial with the girl that she builds a little snowman? She keeps it in the freezer all year round. She takes it in a cooler out to the picnics and stuff like that. And the next year when it snows, she goes to put it on the lawn. And some kid goes by. I don't know if it's like he's like on like those jet skis or something, and just runs the snowman right over. I was like, I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God, wow, that's horrible. And that the family's sitting there trying to put it together for her.
It's
Oh,
horrible. How about you, Jack?
I can't even like that's again. How can you come back from that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he puts the hat on for that birthday, I like when he comes back. So yeah, Christmas cheer.
I like the Christmas cheer, but I'm voting for the sun. I'm with the sun the whole way.
Really?
You don't
You're a
like the
terrible
heat.
person.
Why would you vote for the sun?
I had enough of the Frosty. He's a little too happy for me.
He remind me of. He always remind me of like the the old drunk at the bar. Boisterous, happy.
Was that the one with Bing Crosby narrating? Which one's did Bing Crosby narrate?
Oh geez, they had Bing and they had Fred Astaire. I think it was Fred Astaire.
I think Fred Astaire
No,
was.
Fred Astaire. Wow.
Fred Astaire was Rankin Bass, I think. No, I think it was Bing. I think it was Bing. No, I have to look.
Yeah, I knew one of them narrated. I don't know if both of them did stuff.
Oh,
Jimmy Durante.
was it Jimmy Durante? Was it?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Durante.
Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Wow. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Well, guys, that's our Christmas toy edition. We'd like to thank Jerry for coming on. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me,
yeah.
guys. I appreciate it.
We'll definitely have you back. Mixtapes and tasty cakes. Have a good holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mixtapes and tasty cakes. See you next week.